जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव। जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा। गिरवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा। गिरवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन। यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव। जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव। जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ। जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ। जय कुंज बिहारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन। यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव। जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव। जय कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा Amit Prabhu. Thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna. So pleased to have your association.
Hare
Um,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for joining. It's very nice that we all met in Manna, and I can't tell you how happy I am that you taken the next initiative to know more about Krishna and Krishna Katha. And So we'll just offer our invocation prayers, and then we will go into the reading of Krishna book. And also, just to introduce, we have our Ramnath Prabhuji. You can see Ramnath Sukha Prabhu, who's our guide, mentor. Ramnath Prabhu is a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, whom you can see, our spiritual master. So we are very blessed actually to have Ramnath Prabhuji's association, and we have senior devotees like Amoga Prabhu also to give us a lot of knowledge from Bhagavatam as well. And we all belong to this great Sanatan Dharma. And it is so, we have so much of an ocean of knowledge out there. But actually, we just need to take a little bit step just to understand about Krishna Katha and understand about Bhagavad Gita, and all of us for our own benefit. Because in this material world, as we were just talking about it, Prabhu, earlier, this material world is full of ups and downs, like happiness and distress. And Krishna Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, Matrasparsasta kaunteya shitosna sukadukkada agama paino nityastam titiksaso bharata. This material world is full of ups and downs. And he says, just like how we have the different seasons, like summer and winter season, this life, ups and downs, happiness and distress, everything, they just come and go, just like the summer and winter season. And one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So Krishna gives beautiful instructions for us, as we are living in this material world. And for that, for us to tolerate that, that will happen only when we have the guidance of our spiritual master, when we have the love of Krishna Bhakti, and when we get so absorbed in Krishna Bhakti, what happens is right now, because we do not have Krishna in our life, because we do not have Bhakti in our life, we center out all our problems with I, me, myself kind of a thing. So when a problem comes also, with that problem looks so magnified because our mind is only consumed with the problems. But it's not that devotees do not have problem, but devotees are so engaged in bhakti life that all of these big, any problem that looks like, it doesn't appear like the big problem that everybody looks at it, So they'll be in a position to, with the help of Krishna, overcome all these difficulties in life, because everything is temporary. All our problems are temporary. Everything is temporary. But with the help of with Krishna Bhakti, we'll be able to surpass and be overcome all these kind of problems with the help of in the Krishna Bhakti. And also we'll be so engaged in Krishna Bhakti that we don't look at every problem as such a big problem. Our main focus is always going to be on Krishna Bhakti. So I'll just offer invocation prayers, and then we will go into Krishna book. Hey Krishna, Karna Sindhu, Dinabandhu, Jagatpate, Gopisha, Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta, Namostute. Tapta Kanchana, Gaurangi, Radhe, Vrindavaneshwari, Rishabhanusute, Devi, Pranamami, Hari Priye. Om Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharini, Nirvisesha Sunyavadi, Pashyata Deshatarini. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So I just wanted to, we are going to be, I'll be sharing my screen. So we are going to be I'll just introduce for the benefit of all our new devotees who are coming. Um, so, so just to introduce, we are actually covering Krishna book, which is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And this Krishna book is actually a summary study of Srila Vyasadeva Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. So it is directly taken from Bhagavatam. So we can imagine how auspicious it is. So as many people, sometimes people are like new to this, sometimes they wonder like whether Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is just one and the same. So just to kind of clarify, Bhagavad Gita is actually spoken by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. It is spoken from the lips of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and it is divided into 18 chapters, 700 verses, and each chapter is a chapter on yoga. So that is about Bhagavad Gita, which is directly spoken by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And Bhagavatam is actually written by Vyasadeva, which contains all the loving devotion, the relationship of the devotees with Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So all the incarnation, all the avatars and all the loving relationship the devotees have with Bhagavan Sri Krishna, everything is explained so nicely in Bhagavatam. It's got about 18,000 verses. And it is unbelievable that Prabhupada, our spiritual master, given word-to-word translation of these 18,000 verses. Can you imagine this? Prabhupada would just sleep for 2 hours and then remaining time, many times he would, apart from his preaching activity, he would just spend his time translating all these Bhagavatam. So we are so blessed and so fortunate that we have a spiritual master from the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya who's given us this word-to-word translation of Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses. And from this Bhagavatam till the 10th canto, we have actually all this Krishna book that we are going to cover. This is taken from the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Now, this is a beautiful this thing of, and it's very, very, many of you would have heard about the Beatles, the rock band Beatles, and the George Harrison from the Beatles. He is the one actually who gave his first contribution for this Krishna book, for the publication of Krishna book. So all glories to him for his contribution, I would say. So I just wanted to mention that, we have covered all these initial chapters. We have this chapter number 1, the advent of Lord Krishna, prayers by demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb, the birth of Lord Krishna, Kamsa begins his persecution. So as many of you who are coming from India background, you would have heard about, Krishna killing Kamsa and Kamsa trying to, put Vasudeva and Devaki in prison and all that, right? Many would have heard about this. So this is all about the Leelas of Bhagavan Sri Krishna and meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva, how Putana was killed by Krishna, and the vision of the universal form, how Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. This is a beautiful divine Leelas of Krishna. And all this, so killing of Agasura, killing of Denakasura, killing of Kaliya, subduing of Kaliya, and Pralamba. So we covered in worshipping Govardhan Hill. Right, at the age of 7 years, Krishna lifts the Govardhan Hill when Indra was lashing out all the, thunderstorms and everything. Krishna asks all the people of Vrindavan to come under the Govardhan Hill. So that's a beautiful, wonderful Leela which we covered earlier. And then wonderful Krishna and prayers by Indra and all the songs by gopis, because gopis were the very dear devotees of Krishna, and they're all like actually the rishis during the time of Ramayana, and who are taken birth in the form of gopis. So all these beautiful chapters we have covered. We've been doing it from more than a year. So we've been covering all these ones. So we can see we covered till here. And another beautiful thing, just to want to give you a backdrop before I get into this, we're going to be covering the chapter called Krishna recovers the son of his teacher. And many of you would have heard about this. Krishna's teacher is Sandipani, right? So that's his teacher. So before we just get into that, just to give you a background of this. So what happens is Kamsa knows that, finally he gets to know that, Krishna and Balaram, they are there in Vrindavan and they're living in the house of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mataji. And so Kamsa, in order to kill Krishna, Kamsa is sitting in Mathura and Krishna is in Vrindavan. So Kamsa sends Akrura, a friend of somebody from the, from the Yadava dynasty. Kamsa sends Akrura to go to Vrindavan and invite Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. And what he was trying to do is, Kamsa was arranging how to kill Krishna. So he was arranging an elephant. You can see this, the elephant Kovalyapida. And if the elephant misses the chance of killing him, then he arranges wrestlers like Chanura and things like that. So he was making backup plans. He was arranging for an elephant to kill, next some wrestlers to kill. And like that, he was arranging all the different kind of people so that Krishna and Balaram, when they come to Mathura, he will get them killed by this elephant and the wrestlers, right? And then he is arranging a particular festival, which is about breaking of the bow. And Krishna comes to Mathura. So in the invitation of Kamsa, when he comes to Vrindavan, so Krishna and Balaram, they decide to go because Akrura is invited on behalf of Kamsa. So Krishna and Balaram, they go to Mathura. And the people of Mathura, they have heard about Krishna and Balaram, and they were just rejoicing. The whole city of Mathura were rejoicing. But Kamsa was making all kind of evil plans to kill Krishna. So as part of this thing, so when Krishna comes out there and when he breaks this bow, breaking of the bow, he simply breaks with no problem. He simply breaks it. And then after that, he goes and kills the elephant, Krishna. And then he goes and kills all the wrestlers who are come in the behalf. Because, no matter how much demoniac people are, they are nothing in the hands of Krishna. Because Krishna is like, sitting as a super soul he's sitting as a super soul of every living entity, and this entire material universe is living in the hands of Krishna. So for him it is nothing. And then after killing all these elephant and wrestlers, finally Kamsa sends all his servants to go and kill Krishna. And then Krishna so easily kills all of them. And then Kamsa orders that Krishna and Balaram should be thrown out of Mathura, and then he orders that the Devaki and Vasudeva should be killed. And then he orders that Nanda Maharaj, even they should be killed. And then finally his own, Kamsa was so evil that he tries to kill his own father, Ugrasena. He puts his own father in prison so that he can rule the kingdom. So that was the nature of a demoniac people like Kamsa. But as you know, in Krishna Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhuna vinasaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanardaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So for two reasons that Krishna Bhagavan comes into this planet Earth. One is to kill these evil and demonic people like Kamsa. And second thing is for the pleasure and the protection of his devotees, right? So all these beautiful, loving people in Vrindavan, they were only thinking about Krishna. Wherever the problem comes, they were always praying to Krishna. And Krishna used to come and save them from all the evil people like Putana and Dhanakasura and Kaliya and all of them. And then finally, Krishna gets so angry because Kamsa he's trying to get even the Vasudeva and Devaki killed, and he gets so angry. Finally, he jumps onto the throne of Kamsa, pulls him out, throws his helmet off, and goes and sits on him and gives him one banging on Kamsa. And finally, Kamsa finally loses his life. So that's the end of killing of Kamsa. So we have covered all these chapters till here, and now we are covering chapter number 45, and they have so many beautiful chapters after this. As I said, we are going to be talking about how Krishna is going to recover the son of Sandipani Muni, and then we are going to talk about how Uddhava is actually cousin of Krishna, and how he is visiting Vrindavan, and delivery of Krishna to the message of Krishna to gopis, how Krishna is pleasing his devotees, and about Dhritarashtra, and then how Krishna is erecting the Dwaraka fort. And then Krishna as Ranshora, and how Krishna kidnaps Rukmini, and Krishna, all the Savantika Jewel. And we'll be covering all these beautiful Leelas of Krishna. And as I always mention, there is a beautiful sloka in Bhagavad Gita where he says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha Chakradeham punarjanma naiti mamiti so Arjuna, where Krishna Bhagavan is telling in Bhagavad Gita that one who listens and understands this Krishna Katha, even by listening to the Krishna Katha, Krishna Bhagavan assures that those people who are listening to Krishna Katha, once they leave this material world, we will not come back here again, but they will directly go to the Krishna's supreme planet called Krishna Loka. So you can imagine how auspicious it is to be listening to Krishna Katha, and it's even more auspicious to be listening to Krishna Katha in the association of devotees. That's when you can enjoy the nectar. So we are so fortunate here that we have many of our devotees. Ratan Prabhu, Hare Krishna, thank you for joining. So we have our devotees as well who are here to give us their insights and their knowledge as well from Bhagavatam as well. So we are very fortunate here. We're going to be reading about this beautiful chapter called Krishna Recovers the Son of His Teacher. Now, what happens is, just before we this chapter, Krishna recovers his son, is actually of two parts. The first part we are actually talking, because now, as I mentioned, Krishna goes and kills Kamsa. So Kamsa is killed, right? And then after that has happened, now both Krishna's the main parents, like who's Devaki and Vasudeva, they are there in Mathura because they have come over there. And then even Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mataji, both of them are also there in Mathura. Now Krishna, it's so beautiful because, the beauty about Krishna Katha is that we'll understand the personal relationship with Krishna. Most of the time, when we pray to God, we just keep God somewhere over there, and then we just pray to him for our material benefits, and we just pray for the problems to be solved and things like that, and then we go away. But but it is always through this Krishna Katha, we will be able to develop a personal relationship with Krishna. We will be able to understand how Krishna is so loving, so loving. And because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we will be able to relate to him, because Krishna Bhagavan says, Mamai Vamsa Jiva Bhuta, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Mana Shastrin Indriyani, Prakriti Stani Karshati. Krishna Bhagavan is telling in Bhagavad Gita, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. We are tiny sparks of Krishna. That's the reason why, just like how the sunshine, the sparks of sunshine belong to the sun, similarly, we are all tiny spiritual sparks which we belong to the absolute reality called Bhagavan Sri Krishna. We are all part and parcel of, just like how our hands and legs are part and parcel of Krishna. part and parcel of us. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. So we have a very loving relationship. And through this Krishna Leela, we'll be able to establish that beautiful relationship. Now, what happens is in the beginning of this, as the first part of the chapter, I'll just mention that for the just for the benefit of devotees who are newly joined, which we covered a bit in the last week. So, like Vasudeva and Devaki, they know that because Krishna has done so much of enormous feats. He went and killed Kamsa. He went and put an end to all the elephant. Those elephants were so mighty. The wrestlers were so mighty. And Krishna and Balaram, they were small children. Even at such a young age, they literally went and just killed them. So now, having seen all this, Vasudeva and Devaki, they are like so much in a referential attitude. They are looking at Krishna and Balaram like, my God, they are all supreme Bhagavan. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna, what he did is with his Yoga Maya, he covered with his Yoga Maya so that Vasudeva and Devaki don't look up to Krishna like as gods, but they think of Krishna still as his own child, you know? So we are all covered by this Yoga Maya. And through this Yoga Maya, Krishna makes them forget that he is God, that he is a loving son. So, and then because as you all know, many of you would be knowing about this, Vasudeva and Devaki, as soon as Krishna is born, right? Vasudeva takes Krishna, um, and goes and takes him on his head, as you all know, in the river Yamuna, and then finally he goes to Nandabhavan and puts Krishna over there. So actually, the main parents of Krishna are Vasudeva and Devaki, but they never had a chance to spend time with Krishna because they were put in a prison. Kamsa has put Devaki and Vasudeva in prison. So they never had a chance to have this loving relationship with Krishna. They never had a chance to see the childhood pastimes of Krishna. So Krishna was telling to the Vasudeva and Devaki, my dear father and mother, although you have been very anxious for our protection of our life, you could not enjoy the pleasure of seeing us as babies, as your growing bosses, because this is the dream of every parent, isn't it? Every parent wants to see the child as they're growing up, as they're crawling, as they're trying to make those tiny baby walks and things like that. So Krishna was feeling bad for his mother, Yashoda and Vasudeva, Devaki and Vasudeva. So he was telling that, father and mother, you have always been so anxious because why they were so anxious is because Vasudeva and Devaki, they always knew that Kamsa was planning to kill Krishna, right? So he was ready to kill his own sister, Kamsa. And then Vasudeva tried to pacify him and tell him all the things. We are not going to kill you by there's no threat at all. Why do you want to kill us and all that? So only slowly he'll pacify. But always Vasudeva and Devaki they were very anxious if Krishna is going to get, if Kamsa is going to harm Krishna. So like that they were thinking. So Krishna was like, he was just telling his father, like, we couldn't, most of the time we couldn't spend time with you. Most of the time we had to spend our childhood with Nanda and Yashoda Mataji. As you can see over there, that is why. So because Vasudeva and Devaki were very anxious, Krishna, after he was born, he was immediately, again, when we talk about Krishna, we shouldn't say birth also, we should say appearance. When Krishna appeared, he was immediately transferred onto another house, which is Nanda Maharaj's house. And so Krishna is telling to Devaki, and unfortunately, being ordered by a fate, we could not raise up by our own parents to enjoy such valued pastimes. My dear father and mother, that is Vasudeva and Devaki, a man cannot repay his debt to his parents from whom he gets his body, who can bestow all the benefits of material existence. According to the Vedic injunction, this human life, this human form of life enables one to perform all kind of religious activities, fulfill all kind of desires, and acquire all kind of wealth. And this same human form is also used for getting mukti or liberation from the material existence. And this body is produced by the combined efforts of father and mother. And also very important thing that we learn from Krishna Katha is that every human being should be obliged to serve his parents and understand that he cannot repay the debt to him. And even after growing up, if a son does not try to satisfy his parents by his actions, then he's surely going to be punished after death by the superintendent of death and made to eat his own flesh. So you can imagine what a heinous crime it is that people who neglect their parents and who don't take care of their parents when they're in their old age. And if a person is able to care for his old parents and chaste wife and children and all that, the point is, if a person is capable of taking care of his parents and wife and children, but still he does not do, for such kind of a person, he is considered as already dead, although he must be living. So Krishna and Balaram, they were saying, my dear father and mother, you have always been anxious for our protection. But unfortunately, we couldn't render any service unto you, and we simply wasted our time. Please excuse us for our sinfulness. So you see, Krishna, even when he came as in a human form, he was showing all these human emotions, like how the children tell our parents, right? So, dad and mom, I couldn't take care of you in your old age, or I couldn't do anything like that. So we can see that all of these feelings we get from Krishna, right? Because he's our eternal father. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Pitaham asya jagato, mata data pitamaha, vedyam pavitam omkara, riksama rejucha. I'm your father and mother of this entire, of every jivatma in this planet. So that's why we get all these kind of, in terms of some of these qualities that are picked up from, because quality wise, we are the same as God, but not in terms of like, Krishna is called as Vibhu, unlimited, and we are like, we are limited in our whatever things that we can do in our life. So one, he's consoling his, his Devaki and Vasudeva, and then having consoled his father and mother, Devaki and Vasudeva, next what happens is Kamsa is actually, as I mentioned, Kamsa imprisons his own father, Ugrasena. He puts him in a prison because he wants to rule the kingdom. Now, after Krishna kills Kamsa, now Ugrasena is freed. He's come out free from the prison, and then Krishna asks Ugrasena to go again and rule the kingdom of Yadu. And then after that also, what he says is, because a lot of people, because they were afraid of Kamsa, they actually leave that particular place. They kind of like go far away and just live somewhere else. But now after Kamsa has been killed by Krishna, now that now it's going to be ruled by his father Ugrasena. So Krishna is telling Ugrasena to once again rule this particular kingdom, and then he tells that, because Krishna and Balaram are there now in Mathura to give all the guidance and to give all the support for his grandfather. And he says that now, all the people who have just run away from that particular place because of fear of Kamsa, they all return back, because now they know that they have the support of Krishna and Balaram. And also not only that, they know that Ugrasena is going to be ruling the kingdom. So Krishna is assuring Ugrasena that, now you have your my full cooperation is with you to make your position exalted and secure, so that the kings of other dynasties will not hesitate to pay the revenues. Right, how in those days when the kingdom was ruled by one of the king, and the other kings, they were ruled by other small kings, and they used to pay the revenue to them. So, and also Krishna is telling Ugrasena that now that they have the protection of Krishna. So Krishna is telling Ugrasena that you're going to be honored by all these kings who are going to be coming back, and also they will be honored even by the demigods from the heavenly planets. Because why they'll be honored by the demigods? Because they have the protection of Krishna. Because of the demigods, they're always worshipping Krishna, and as long as you had the protection of Krishna, even the demigods, they're there to serve you. So this is what has happened. And there were many kingdoms during those times, like Yadu kingdom, Vrishni, Andaka, Madhu, Dasarha, and Kukura dynasty, all these dynasties. And as I mentioned, they're all those kings who have just actually ran away from that particular place. Now they return to their respective homes. And also now that because of Krishna and Balaram were there was a very good governance in Mathura. And as soon as they saw, like the people were very happy in Mathura because Krishna and Balaram were there, and Ugrasena has come back to rule the Yadu kingdom. And so the residents of Mathura, as soon as they saw the Krishna and Balaram on the street, so nicely dressed up and smiling and looking at the citizens, so the citizens of Mathura now were so happy with the presence of Krishna. And the another thing that happened is, now that, as I mentioned, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mataji, all of them, they have come from Vrindavan to Mathura, right? Because Kamsa had asked everyone to come over there. Now that Krishna is killed Kamsa and everything is over, now Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, now they are planning to again go back to Vrindavan. Now, again, Krishna, as we all know, Krishna spent all his time in Nanda Bhavan. And interesting enough, I've been to that place in Vrindavan. That Nanda Bhavan is still there. The place where Yashoda Mataji is making churning butter and all this, that places are still there in Vrindavan. We can literally go to Nanda Maharaj's house. We can still see the place. They'll show you on the floor and on the ceiling, the place where your mother Yashoda used to churn butter and all that. So it is really so amazing to see that those places are still there. So now another beautiful emotional moment is starting now, where Krishna is now addressing Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda because they're planning to now go back. Now Krishna is again addressing to them, dear father and mother, that is Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. Although we are born of Vasudeva and Devaki, you are been our real father and mother, because from our very birth and childhood, you have raised us with great affection and love. Your affectionate love for us was more than anyone can offer one's own children. You are actually our father and mother because you raised us as your own children when we were just like orphans. For certain reasons, we are rejected by our father and mother, and you protected us, dear father and mother. We know that you will feel separation upon returning to Vrindavan and leaving us, but please be assured that we shall come back to Vrindavan after giving some satisfaction to our real father and mother. So you see how nicely Krishna Bhagavan is pacifying Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, because they were feeling very bad that now they have to return back to Vrindavan without Krishna, because they're not, Krishna is not going along with them. So they were feeling a little bit morose and they were feeling a little bit bad about that. So Krishna is assuring them, he's telling them that even though Vasudeva and Devaki were their actual parent, but they were grown up, and all the beautiful childhood pastimes, everything happened with Mother Yashoda. And we all, this is one of the most famous divine leelas of Krishna is with Mother Yashoda, right? She goes with the stake, and Krishna is stealing the butter and running away and feeding the monkeys all the butter and just playing and breaking the pots and all that. So all these divine leelas happen in Nanda Bhavan, right? So Krishna knows all these things have happened over there, and then he's telling his father and mother, like, I know you'll feel a little bit of separation because you'll be going to Vrindavan and we are living that term. But here he's assuring Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda that once they give some satisfaction to the real father and mother, because they never had a chance to spend time with Krishna. So once that is done, mother and father will come back to Vrindavan. Don't worry about that. So in that way, Krishna and Balaram, they satisfied Nanda Maharaj with their sweet words and gave them a lot of ornaments and all these things. So on account of the parental affection of Krishna and Balaram, Nanda Maharaj had tears in his eyes, and he embraced them, and he started back with the cowherd men of Vrindavan. Now what happens is, so Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mataji, they just went back to Vrindavan. Now in Mathura, the only people who are there is Vasudeva and Devaki, the original parents of Krishna. Now, Vasudeva and Devaki, because they were imprisoned by Kamsa, they never had a chance to play with Krishna or spend time with Krishna. Now they got a chance to spend some time with Krishna, right? So what Vasudeva was done is, actually when Krishna was born, Vasudeva was, because he was in a prison, he was offering a lot of cows. When Krishna was born, he was mentally offering, okay, I'm giving so many cows to the Brahmanas. He was mentally offering all the celebration in his mind. But now a chance has come for him to actually do something for Krishna. So he called Vasudeva, who's Krishna's father. He called the family priest, he called the Brahmanas, and then he got the sacred thread. For people of the higher community in those days, they used to do this initiation ceremony, and they used to do this Gayatri mantra. They had to do all these things and things like that. So Vasudeva was doing that arrangement for all that, getting the cows decorated with silken cloths and all the stuff. And it's such a beautiful, we can bring to our mind, the imagination. This Krishna book, the narration of Krishna book by Prabhupada is so beautifully narrated that we can literally bring to our mind imagination how beautiful it must have been, how the thread ceremony must have been there, and how Vasudeva must have arranged for all the cows. And now Vasudeva is trying to make his dreams come true. He's actually literally calling the Brahmanas and giving them the cows. And now he's getting Krishna and Balaram initiate with the sacred thread ceremony and reciting the Gayatri mantra and things like that. So, but Krishna and Balaram, actually, they are the supreme personality of Godhead, right? And Balaram is an expansion of Krishna, right? So Krishna himself expands is Balaram. So that's how we have Krishna and Balaram as well. But although Krishna and Balaram, they're above all these rituals and ceremonies and all that, but as long as they come in this human form, they were following all the formalities and all the rituals that have been asked by his father to follow. So they were following all the principles. They had a family priest called Gargamuni. So Gargamuni was actually doing this thread ceremony and all that. So, like even I think till recently also, right? All of us have some family priest and family, if there any marriage is there, we will call our family priest and tell them, can you find out an auspicious Murta and all that. So even we had somebody like that, a mentor or a family priest whom we normally consult for, any good occasions and things like that. So like that, here Vasudeva was using the family priest called Gargacharya. So he was a spiritual master, and for this, he's the Acharya for the Yadu dynasty. And according to the Vedic culture, every respectable family had an Acharya or a spiritual master. And so now Krishna, because they came in order, they were maintained, they were following whatever formalities that they had to be, they were instructed by the spiritual master. And after that, what happened is they did the Gayatri mantra, they did the initiation ceremony and everything. And after that, what happens is, according to the rituals that are followed in those days, after reciting, being initiated in the Gayatri mantra, whoever the children who have done that, for whom the initiation happened, for a certain period of time, they have to go and live somewhere and be trained under a spiritual master. So Krishna and Balaram, they have been sent to a Gurukul and to work under the instructions of a spiritual master called Sandipani Muni. As you can see over here, Krishna and Balaram strictly followed the regular principles while living under the instructions of Sandipani Muni, who was a resident of Avantipura in the northern district of Ujjain. It's so interesting, isn't it? All these places are still there. Whether it's Nanda Bhavan, whether it's Sandipani Muni's place called Ujjain. And in those days, or even now, according to the Vedic culture, the spiritual master is respected as much as like on the same level of God. He's given all the kind of respect and devotion and things like that. So Krishna and Balaram exactly followed all the principles with great devotion and underwent the regulations of brahmacharya, right? So, and they satisfied the spiritual master who given them all the Vedic knowledge. So what happens is, when they go to the Gurukul, the Guru will give them all the instructions about the Vedic wisdom and what they have to do, and they give them all the knowledge from the Upanishads. In fact, Krishna, like the Bhagavad Gita, is the essence of all the Upanishad, Gita Upanishad, they say, because it's the essence of all the Upanishad. And because Krishna and Balaram happen to be Kshatriyas, they were specifically trained in military science, politics, and ethics. These are the three ones, because they are Kshatriyas. And politics include Department of Knowledge, how to make peace, how to fight, how to pacify, how to divide and rule, and how to give shelter. And as you can see in Krishna also, in Krishna, so many leelas of Krishna, isn't it? Krishna, as you all know, like Krishna goes first with a peace proposal, right, to the Kauravas, asking them that if they can give even 5 villages to the Pandavas. And Duryodhana refused to give in 5 villages. So you can imagine. And when they did not agree to this, then Krishna said, okay, fine, then we'll have to fight it out in Kurukshetra, And so Krishna knew everything, like, how to make peace, how to fight, how to pacify, because the gopis, they were such high devotees, such pure devotees of Krishna, that every minute their breath was always thinking about Krishna. They're always breathing and breathe in, breathe out Krishna. Complete every minute they were thinking of Krishna. So when Krishna was coming off to Mathura, so all the gopis, they were just not allowing. They just went and stopped even the chariot. They were standing in front of the chariot and saying, no, no way, you cannot leave us and you can go to Mathura, because I know you will not come and all. So that was the love that gopis had for Krishna. And all these gopis, they were all great acharya. They were all great rishis during the time of Ramayana, and many of these gopis. So we can see that, so because Krishna came in that ordinary human form, and because they had to follow all the rituals, they have accepted Sandipani Muni as their teacher, and they got all the knowledge of Vedic wisdom. They also they studied all these subjects. And also, after hearing this, and Krishna and Balaram, they were such experts that within 64 days and 64 nights, they have learned all the necessary arts and sciences required in human society. So you can imagine how clever and how intelligent they were. Like, they mastered everything. And during the daytime, they used to take the lessons on the subject from Sandipani Muni, and by nightfall, they were experts in the department of knowledge. So that was the kind of caliber that Krishna and Balaram had. And first of all, they learned, what are all the things that they learned from Sandipan Muni. It is so interesting to see, like, they learned how to sing, how to compose songs, how to recognize different tunes. They learned the favorable and unfavorable accents. They learned the rhythms. They learned the rhythms and paintings. They learned how to paint tilak on their face. They learned the art of making paintings on the floor. They learned how to make a resting place with flowers. They learned the art of ringing pots, how to make sound with the pots which are covered with full of water. And they learned how to splash water in the rivers. They learned how to decorate with flowers, the art of decorating. And there were so many different things that they have learned from Sandipani Muni. And Krishna and Balaram, they learned even the art of dressing hair in various styles. They also learned how to set up a theatrical stage, how to decorate dramatic actors with costumes and with flower ornaments on the ear, and how to sprinkle sandalwood pulp and water. They also learned the art of performing magical feats. Within the magical feat, there's an art called Bahurupi, by which a person dresses up in such a way that when he approaches a friend, he cannot be recognized. So Krishna Bhagwan also learned to make various syrups and beverages. Their art include various, and they also learned how to manipulate the thin threads for dancing puppets. They learned how to string wires on musical instruments like veena, sitara, and tambura to produce melodious sounds. And they also learned how to make and solve riddles. And they also learned the art of how even a dull student can even learn the alphabet and read books. And they learned how to rehearse and act out the drama. So you can find, the Krishna and Balaram, there was a lot of practical classes that are happening in Sandipan movies. So they were learning all these things under the guidance of Sandipan Muni, and they were learning how to draw and read pictographic literature, and they were also learning the art of architecture, also how to construct residential buildings, how to recognize valuable jewels by studying. They learned the art of placing jewels in a gold and silver setting so that they look very beautiful. They also learned how to study soil and find minerals. This study of soil is now a greatly specialized science, but formerly it was a common knowledge even for a common man. So imagine in those days, it was very common for everybody to even learn about studying the soil and things like that. And they learned about the herbs and plants and how to, how they would act as medicines, and the different species of plants and things like that. So they even learned practical psychology also, how to influence another person's mind and how to induce another to act according to one's own desire. Sometimes this is called hypnotism. And they learned how to wash hair and things like that. Um, so these are some of the things actually which we covered in our last chapter, but I was just trying to cover them for the benefit of, few of your devotees who just joined in. And not only that, they learned how to speak and understand the languages of various countries. Can you imagine? They just learned, they could even speak the languages of other countries as well. They learned the language of not only of human beings, they could even speak with the animals and birds. And such evidence is found in the Vaishnava literature as well. And it is said in the Ramayana that after defeating Ravana, Ramachandra was carried from Lanka to Bharatvarsha on a plain of flowers called Pushparata. And Krishna and Balaram then learned the art. So they learned even the art of making carriages and aeroplanes from flowers, Krishna and Balaram. So you can imagine what kind of talents and such practical classes that they were getting in this Gurukul from Sandipan Mori, that they knew even like how to make carriages and aeroplanes from flowers. Um, and which is what was done by during the time of Rama, and when Rama came back from Lanka. And and also similarly, if one sees a cow being milked alongside, it's a good sign. So other thing is, when one is going out to see someone with a bucket full of water, then it's a good sign. But if one sees someone with an empty bucket, it's not a good sign. Similarly, if one sees a cow being milked along with its calf, it's a good sign. The result of understanding the signs is that one can foretell events. And Krishna and Balaram learned these signs. Can you imagine? Because as we becoming modern and all that, when in India also, sometimes when people tell them okay, don't do this, it's an inauspicious things. Sometimes we just put it off, is it? We say like, oh, you have all this kind of these are all old and silly kind of thing. But you can imagine it's actually a science. It's a science of foretelling. So here we can see that when you come across somebody with a full bucket of water, it's actually supposed to be a good sign, and when it's an empty bucket, it's not a good sign. So, and Krishna and Balaram learned this science of how to predict some of these things based on some of these incidents that are going to happen as well. So, and also that Krishna and Balaram learned the art of cutting valuable stones such as diamonds, and they learned the art of questioning and answering by immediately composing poetry. They learned the art of psychiatrists who can understand the psychic movements of another person. And they learned how to satisfy one's desires. Desires are very difficult to satisfy. And And if one desires something which is unreasonable and can never be fulfilled, the desires can be subdued and satisfied. And that is an art. By this art, one can subdue sex impulses when they arouse and as they are even in brahmachari. By this art, one can make even an enemy one's friend or transfer the direct action. So they were learning so many beautiful arts from the guru. Now, Krishna and Balaram, they have exhibited their complete understanding. Like as I said, in 2 months, 64 days and 64 nights, they have literally learned all these arts, whatever arts that we are mentioning so far. Now, finally, after they have completed their entire learnings from the Gurukul and from Sandipan Muni, now they go and they want to go and offer to the teacher as and ask him for some Guru Dakshina, like what can we offer? So they go and they offer to serve the teacher by awarding him something what he desires. So it's a normal practice during that time that the guru is imparting all the knowledge to the students, and the students ask spiritual master if there's anything that they can give it as Guru Dakshina. And it is essential that a student satisfy the teacher in return for any learnings received, either material or spiritual, when Krishna and Balaram offered their service in this way. So I just wanted to just pause over here. Does anyone has any questions so far? Because we just covered some part of it, where we just talking about all the different arts and science and everything, the different talents that they have picked up learning while they were learning from the Gurukul and the guidance of Sandipan Muni. But I just wanted to pause. Any comments or any realizations or anything before I just go into the next one, because the next one is going to be another Leela. Yes, Ramnath Prabhuji?
Yeah, I'm just amazed at actually this list of learning. If you actually consider the things that Sandipani Muni was teaching, Gurukula, and the system of knowledge, it was absolutely practical and could be applied. Even like the science of planting seeds and growing and farming. I mean, I can just imagine what are those? Where are those books? I want to. We need those books, those original books. I wonder where they all are. What happened to them?
Yes, Prabhuji, amazing. That's what, when I was seeing this, I was feeling like, how much of theory we studied in our school. But can you imagine, we spent so many years doing all this thing. But here it seems to be like all these lessons seem to be like so practical and something which is like so much on the ground, learning on the job kind of a thing. And how versatile they were, learning so many different subjects actually, which are so practically required in
Yeah.
the life.
They must have had vast libraries and researchers and just like this whole idea of how to actually you know uh, cultivate farmland and do it in a practical way. I mean, this is a great science of horticulture. People go to school and they study for years, and there's lots of scientists doing all this research. I mean, just have to wonder, like, how did they do the research? What kind of schools were there? Where's the literature? This is no computers or anything, but obviously it was a very, very advanced society, extremely advanced. And all the arts and the culture and the beauty.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. It's just amazing to see like how much, and at that age that they were able to absorb so much of knowledge actually, that in such a short span. Of course, Krishna and Balaram, they are the supreme Bhagavans. Of course, nothing is impossible for them, but
Of
it's
course,
amazing
but
to
still,
see.
it's just the Bhagavatam is giving a reflection of a culture and a society
Mm.
actually far, far advanced
Yeah,
than anything in Kali Yuga.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's why I think the Vedic literature and something like Bhagavatam is so important for us, because many people are under the assumption that, oh, we were like all the, at some point of time, maybe people are not advanced, they didn't have any knowledge. But you can read through Bhagavatam and understand that people in those times, they were much more advanced, they were much more knowledgeable, and they were like had such practical knowledge from the teachers. And it was never based on monetary things. Today, we have so many international schools, international colleges, and grammar schools, and so many different things which are out of reach for the common man. But in those days, along with Krishna and Balaram, even though they were Kshatriyas, they were just like any other students who had to learn along with others. They were nothing. There was no different levels, or in everyone was equal. All the children were equal in front of the spiritual teacher, and everyone according to their own capacity would be able to give the Guru Dakshina to the teacher. So everybody was equal in front of the spiritual master, and there was nothing like this Gurukul for only Kshatriyas and that Gurukul. And that's the reason why we see that even Krishna was learning along with Sudama as well. He was learning along with Sudama, who's actually not a Kshatriya also. So we can see that that everybody was on the same platform here. Thank you, Prabhuji. It was so wonderful.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about it, and the anthropologists, I mean, those say that back 5,000 years ago, things were very, very primitive. And actually, you're getting a whole different story here from the Bhagavatam. So advanced. We tend to think that modern advancement is because of modern machinery, the machine age, and modern technology. But these different arts and sciences didn't depend on that.
Absolutely, yes.
It's a very simple life, but very beautiful life, with all the arts and all, the focus on agriculture and the cows. It was basically, village life, but above and beyond all the spiritual knowledge of the Vedas, you have this very practical side of the Vedic knowledge.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I'm just wondering, like, specifically, like with horticulture, there must be some aspect of the Vedic knowledge that's still available that talks about the horticulture. That could be extremely valuable for some researcher today to go back and look at what the Vedic knowledge was and how it can be applied to varieties of climates and situations.
Yeah, I'm sure there must be some literature somewhere on some of these topics. It's just amazing how much we get to know through Krishna Katha, like about how advanced they were in that time. Prabhuji, with your permission, shall I just cover a bit more so that we can?
Yeah, go ahead.
I will.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think devotees, I'll just take a few moments. So I just wanted to cover this beautiful Leela as well with Sandipan Muni, if that's okay with everyone. Okay, so here Krishna Bhagwan and Balaram, they're offering obeisance to the spiritual master and asking whether they can give some Guru Dakshina. And when Krishna and Balaram offered Guru Dakshina to Sandipan Muni, and so when they have offered, Sandipan Muni was thinking that because he's seen that Krishna and Balaram, they're extraordinary. They're like not ordinary human beings. They're complete. They're the supreme lords, and that's the reason why Sandipan Muni goes and asks his wife, "What shall we ask Krishna and Balaram? What can we ask from him?" Because they are not, after they have witnessed Krishna and Balaram, and they could see the power of both the boys. So they decided to ask. Sandipan Muni is now asking Krishna. They have decided to ask for the return of the son who has drowned in an ocean near the shore of Prabhasha Kshetra. And I was just trying to, so here, Sandipan Muni, the guru who has given all the knowledge to Krishna and Balaram, now he is asking as a Guru Dakshina, he is asking Krishna and Balaram to return their son who has actually died, who has been drowned in an ocean near the shore of Prabhasha Kshetra. And I was just checking where this Prabhasha Kshetra, it is something somewhere in Gujarat, some Somanath place like where near the sea. So when Krishna and Balaram heard from the teacher about the death of his son, they immediately started for this Prabhasha Kshetra on the chariot. And once they reached the breach, they asked the controlling deity of the ocean to return the son of the teacher. The ocean deity immediately appeared before the Lord and offered all the respectful obeisances with great humility. So you can see, this is the beauty about Krishna. It is not that Krishna and Balaram, once they grown up to a certain age, then they became God. No, God is God at all times. Whether he's a small child or whether Krishna did great leelas when he was a small child. At the same time, even when he was a small boy, like you can see at such a young age, Krishna and Balaram, they go to the ocean, they call out to the deity of the ocean, and the deity of the ocean appears in front of them and offers obeisances to Krishna. And the Lord says, sometime back you caused the drowning of the son of our teacher. I order you to return him. So Krishna is ordering the ocean, the deity of the ocean, to return back the son of his teacher. The ocean deity replied, the boy was actually not taken by me, but was captured by a demon called Panchajana. This great demon remains deep in the water in the shape of a conch shell. The son of your teacher might be within the belly of the demon, having been devoured with them. So we can see that Krishna kind of commanding this thing, because he's supreme personality of Godhead, right? All this nature, the Varuna and Indra, Varuna, everybody has said they're all worshipping Krishna. They're all demigods who are looking up to Krishna. So you can see that even the ocean deity comes and stands and offers obeisances. And he's saying that the boy must have been taken off by the demon, which is there in the ocean. So maybe it's in the belly of the ocean, having been here. And once Krishna hears about that, Krishna and Balaram, they just dive deep into the ocean and they get hold of this demon called Panchajana. They kill him on the spot, but they were not able to find the son of his teacher within his belly. So we can see that another beautiful Leela that's unfolding here, where they're going and trying to get the son of Sandipani Muni. So now they went and gone and killed even this demon called Panchajana, but still they couldn't find his teacher's son. So from there, what happens is Krishna goes to this place called Samyamani, which is the residence of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. And accompanied by his elder brother Balaram, who is also Halayuddha, Krishna arrives there and blows his conch shell. And as soon as Krishna comes to this place called Samyamani, and he calls out Yamaraj, immediately Yamaraj appears and receives Krishna with great respectful obeisances. So you can see like everybody, like Yamaraj and Indra and all of them, they're all like worshipping Krishna. They offer great obeisances to Krishna. And Yamaraj could understand who Krishna and Balaram were, and therefore he immediately offered his humble obeisances to the Lord. Krishna had appeared on the surface of the earth like an ordinary human being, but actually Krishna and Balaram are the super soul living within the heart of every living entity. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto matasmitir jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in each and everyone's heart. So so Yamaraj could make out that this is Supreme Bhagavan Krishna himself, or Vishnu himself, but they were playing just like ordinary human boys. When Yamaraj offered his services to the Lord, Sri Krishna asked him to return his teacher's son, who had come to him as a result of his work. Considering my ruling supreme, said Krishna, you should immediately return the son of my teacher. So Krishna, you can see the power of the Supreme Bhagavan. Even when he was a small child, he was ordering Yamaraj, give back the son of my teacher, And then Yamaraj returned the boy to the Supreme Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and Krishna and Balaram took the son of his guru's son, and then he brought him to his father. The brothers asked if the teacher had, now Krishna and Balaram, they get Sandipani Muni's son and give him to his teacher, and now they're asking the teacher if there's anything more that they can serve the guru, as a guru dakshana. Now Sandipani Muni is saying, my dear sons, you have done enough for me. I am completely satisfied. There's nothing more that I can be asked for from disciples like you. My dear boys, now you can go home. Those glorious acts of yourself will be renowned all over the world. And now Sandipani Muni is blessing Krishna by giving Krishna the benediction that whatever you speak will remain as eternally fresh as the instructions of the Vedas. And your teachings will be honored not only within this universe and this millennium in all places, but in all places and ages, and will remain increasingly new and important. This is the benediction of Krishna's teacher, Sandipani Muni. And due to this benediction from the teacher, Sandipani Muni, Bhagavan Sri Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is ever increasing and renowned, and not only within this universe, but in other planets and other universes as well. So you can see, Krishna, even though he is the supreme Bhagavan, he's getting benedictions, he's getting blessings from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, who's blessed him that whatever he speak is going to be as fresh as the instructions of Vedas. So as you can see, Bhagavan Sri Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita millions of years ago, but still it is fresh. Even today you can take Bhagavad Gita and it's still relevant to our day-to-day life. So that is the power of Bhagavad Gita. And being ordered by the teacher, Krishna and Balaram immediately returned home on their chariot. So the Gurukul session is over. 2 months, they spent the time, they learned everything. Now they're returning back on the chariot. And they traveled at great speed like a wind and made sounds like the crashing of clouds. All the residents of Mathura had not seen Krishna and Balaram for a long time, were very much pleased to see them again. And they felt joyful like a person who has regained his lost property. So you can see this is the joy, right? Whenever Krishna was there, the people of Mathura, they were just waiting to see when they can see Krishna. So this is the beauty about Krishna, that wherever there's Krishna's all the people around, they're always so joyful and they're looking. So this is the end of the 45th chapter. Sorry, I had to take a few more minutes so that we can cover this beautiful Leela of Krishna, Balaram bringing back the Guru's son who had actually died and handing it over back to their Guru. So I just wanted to stop over here. Any reflections, any comments, any corrections, anything at all?
Thanks, Sam. Brilliant once again. Thanks very much.
Hare Krishna Paritesh Prabhu. Yeah. It was wonderful Leela, isn't it? How Krishna can bring up a dead boy alive, his Guru's son. So, which is not possible for anyone, but for God, God can bring back even a dead son alive. So that is the beauty of Krishna. And what can be more glorious than having Krishna in our lives? You know, where Krishna is offering protection. Sarva dharman parichajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhya mokshayisyami masuchaha. Where Krishna is assuring that no matter how many sins you have done in so many lives, once you surrender to me, I will protect you from whatever sinful reactions which are coming on from so many lifetimes. Because all of us, we are bearing the brunt of all the sinful reactions which we have done, so many acts we have done knowingly or unknowingly from so many lifetimes. We are suffering now. But Krishna is assuring that he will protect us from all these reactions. But yeah, but it takes time and we have to do our part and wait for the grace of Krishna, you know. It's just like how we go to the station. We don't expect the train to come immediately. Train will come when it has to come. But we have to just do our part to go to the station. Similarly, we have to do our part, listening to Krishna's instructions, following Bhagavad Gita, listening to Krishna Katha, all these things. And then Krishna's grace will come from Krishna's side as well. And when we have Krishna's grace, and that's the most fortunate thing to happen. Amit Prabhu, Swapnal ji, Ashwin Prabhu, I hope it was your first session today. I hope you have enjoyed the Krishna Katha.
Yes, Shamji, thank you very much. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Amit Prabhu. It's very joyful. There are so many beautiful Leelas of Krishna. We have, you know, somewhere like in the ancient times, in the olden days, all the Leelas of Krishna and Rama were passed on from our grandparents. And now that, you know, people are living in nuclear homes and people are spread all over the world, somewhere even that chain got broken. Just like how Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, you know, the chain got broken. So I'm explaining Bhagavad Gita again. So somewhere even for us also, now that we have come as nuclear families and now we are living in different parts of the world, we don't have that luxury of having our grandparents telling about Krishna Katha and all that. But the fortunate thing in Kali Yuga that happened is we have our spiritual master Prabhupada who has written all these books for us. So they're going to be there for eternity, you know. So we can always read the books and gain a lot of knowledge, and we can only enjoy the nectar when we're having a devotees association. So always joyful to read when we have devotees around with us. Thank you, Amit Prabhu, for your time. I really appreciate that. And you will slowly, as you keep listening to Krishna Katha, you will slowly start developing the love for Krishna. This is how we can develop love for Krishna, when we keep hearing all the beautiful Leelas of Krishna. And then we will get a lot of faith. We will get a lot of, bhakti towards Krishna Bhagwan. Any comments, anything? Ashwin ji, Swapnal ji, Ratan Prabhu, Anil Prabhu ji.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you for inviting us into this Sangha and narrating this story so beautifully. I'm really privileged to be part of this Sangha. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ashwin Prabhu. So nice of you to say those words. And my humble request is, like, you know, please continue joining, and you will, as you keep going, you will realize that so much of knowledge that we are sharing with each other, which you would never hear in many places, and we will get a lot of insights also from our senior devotees who are here. So please, my humble request is continue, just join and just enjoy the Krishna Katha, and you will get to know so many things from Bhagavad Gita. The practical application of Bhagavad Gita we'll see in Krishna Katha. Ratan Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji is unmute.
Prabhuji, yeah, you're on mute, Prabhuji.
Still we can't hear you, Prabhuji.
Can't hear you, Prabhuji. Sorry.
Shamji, Hare Krishna, and see you next week.
Yes, Amit Prabhu. See you next week.
Okay,
Hare
have a
Krishna.
good week.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
And Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So just one statement in this one. So when Krishna has brought back Sandipini Muni's son from Yamadharmaraja, sometimes some of the devoted neophytes who doesn't have any knowledge. So that Krishna leaves his body like all others. So they compare. But here we see when Krishna is able to brought back his teacher's son going to Yamadharmaraja, and then apart from that, he also brought back the 6 sons of Devaki, the previously were killed by Kamsa. They were also brought back from Bali Maharaj. And then Krishna, that is when Krishna was doing these wonderful acts, why can't he? And he also traveled across this universe travel into Brahma Jyoti and entered into the Vaikuntha planets, where he has got a Brahmana's children, 10 children got from the Karunodak Sai Vishnu. And then and he was able to prove, Krishna has proved that Brahma's pastimes and Lord Shankara's pastimes, Indra's pastimes, and many things to establish himself as the supreme personality of Godhead. And sometimes when Krishna left this world, people think Krishna also left his body like all others. So, but Krishna's body, so Krishna says, Ajopi san avyayatma bhotanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. Sambhavami Atma Maya. So Krishna's body, there is no difference whenever he comes in his own body, spiritual body. So when he leaves, so he knows he goes back in his spiritual own body only. But to bewilder the materialistic people, so that is a pastime. So that saying that Krishna left his body was cremated by Arjuna. It is to bewilder the atheistic people. So just to bring it, so Krishna has proved it even. Then why can't he look after himself when he was doing so many wonderful things? Yes. So this is kind of question. Even Sukadeva Goswami also clarified to the Parikshit. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful, Prabhuji. As always, adding nectar to our discussion. So it's wonderful. Prabhuji, is it from Bhagavatam? This edition?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, it is from Bhagavatam.
If you can maybe share the link, or if you, at all on the group, it will be good, Prabhuji. I want to read about that as well. It's very nice to know about this Leela as well. Yeah, it's Krishna's book is full of Leela. Yes, Ratan Prabhu, sorry, we couldn't hear you. Yeah, I think some audio issues, Prabhuji, from your end. Yeah, we're not able to hear.
Prabhuji, you might have kept your earphones into the laptop or something, so it might be stuck in your voice. Still, we can't hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I think something, maybe the earphones or something, audio. Sometimes it happens, isn't it? Nagaraj Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Unbelievable. Nagaraj Prabhu is actually from India. At this time, oh my God. Nagaraj Prabhu, you have literally thrown us off with your kindness. It is 2 o'clock or something, Prabhuji.
2:40, yeah.
2:40 a.m. in India. You have joined the Krishna Katha. Oh my, amazing. Hare Krishna. All that. My obeisance to you, Nagaraj Prabhu. So of you to join. We were just actually, Nagaraj Prabhu, we covered a beautiful Leela today where Krishna and Balaram, they're trained by the Guru, Sandipan Muni, and Sandipan Muni asking for Guru Dakshina. He asked Sandipan Muni for a Guru Dakshina. So Sandipan Muni asked Krishna and Balaram to bring back the dead son. and Krishna and Balaram, they go to the ocean, and finally they go to Yamaraj, and they order Yamaraj to give back the dead son of Sandipani Muni. And then once Yamaraj gives, he takes them and gives them back to his Guru Sandipani Muni. So it's another beautiful Leela which we covered today.
Very nice.
Yeah, because you didn't, sorry, we couldn't, you were not there, so just trying to recap
Thank
about that. It's a beautiful Leela Nagaraj Prabhu. And I hope you have a beautiful time in Vrindavan and in all the
Yes.
Krishna places.
Yes, bro. Going tonight.
Going tonight, is it, to Vrindavan? So Nagaraj Prabhu is on a tour to Vrindavan and all the holy places of Krishna. So, and he's joined from there. Very nice, Nagaraj Prabhu, and such a nice surprise you've given us. Yeah. Yes, Ramnath Prabhuji. Any?
Excuse me. Yeah, just to suggest to Nagaraj to read my article, How to Enter Vrindavan.
Yes, Nagaraj
Yes,
Prabhu.
bro. Sure, Prabhu.
Well, I mean, the article is on Gopeshwar Mahadev, but I give this very specific instructions from Rupa Goswami, how to enter Vrindavan. It's actually Bhuteshwara in Mathura and then Gopeshwara. But if you read the article, it explains why it's a two-step procedure.
Okay, sure. It's
The idea
Lokapala
is if you,
Prabhu. Is the Lokapala Prabhu deity for the place?
the Dikpala.
Digpala. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm yeah, but there's two. The point is there's two Dikpalas for Vrindavan according to Rupa Goswami, and I encourage devotees try to do that. It's a little bit out of the way, I know, to go to Mathura first and then Vrindavan. But my point is, if you do that, you'll find that your experience becomes magnified.
Sure.
Because you're actually following Rupa Goswami's advice. It's a detail, but this is a way of spiritual technology.
Sure.
We're just talking about advancement in material technology, but there's also spiritual technology, and this is part of it.
Sure.
Wonderful, Swamiji. Spiritual technology. Yeah, that is, I mean, we were just covering Nagaraj Prabhu, such a beautiful things that Krishna and Balaram, they were learning from Sandipan Muni. Such practical things and so many beautiful arts, like something which you wouldn't have imagined at such an age to be learning. So very, very wonderful. Swapnalji, yeah, I mean, thanks so much for giving us your time, and I hope please do again, join us. We normally do it for 1 hour, and just have some open for any comments or anything like that, so that we can just share. And this is the platform, like Ashwin Prabhu and Swapnalji, like if there's anything that you want to bring up, your realizations or something that you wanted to know, something you wanted to ask, you can bring up, and we have our senior devotees who can just definitely give a lot of knowledge. And slowly, as you keep joining in, as you keep learning, then you will get to know so many things, and you will be part of a big Krishna community. Like today, this Hare Krishna movement is all over the world, wherever you go, So it's a time to make friends, and it's a time for the Sanatan Dharma. Now that Lord Ram has come back in Ayodhya, this is a beautiful time for all of us to learn more about Sanatan Dharma and about these Krishna Leelas, So this is what my humble request to everyone. Thank you, Ramnath Prabhuji. This is the one, isn't it? Yeah. The Enigma.
I just did a quick copy and paste into the chat section. Sure.
Yes, Prabhuji. So everyone, you can just go and check it out. So it's always good when we go to Vrindavan to see Krishna. We take the blessings of Gopeshwar Mahadev, Lord Shiva. And so there's a beautiful article that Prabhuji has written, so we can always check it out. It's very nice and interesting, very, very educative. Prabhuji has written a nice article. Yeah, any comments, anything else before we close the call? Any final ones? Ratan Prabhu, so sorry we are not able to hear you. It's our our misfortune that we are not able to hear your realization. But thank you, Prabhuji, for giving us your association. Thank you very much. And Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for kindly taking and every week. And Ramnath Prabhuji also giving insight. So can I request all the devotees kindly unmute and do 3 loud Haribols to Shyam Prabhuji and Ramnath Prabhuji. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you again next Thursday. We'll just Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya.
Sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna. Nagaraj Prabhu, enjoy.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I sent a link there in the chat.
Link, Prabhuji. Yeah, you sent the link. Yeah, I opened it
Yeah.
already. This thing, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Amoga Prabhu, would you want to just stay back for a minute? I just wanted to just.
Yes.
Prabhu.